Maybe we have heard or thought about it. Some people raise the question that if God is just, then how does He create disabled people? What sin did they commit? Is this compatible with God's justice? Has God created some people in perfect conditions and others in suffering and defects? What is the world? The images that we see in a vague and mysterious way since we were born. None of us know exactly how to live and what to do with this strange world. Because we have only one chance. In this channel, we seek to discover the secrets. Hidden secrets that few people talk about in everyday life. Subscribe to us and press the bell icon. This question can be answered from a different perspective. First, we must know that disability is a relative state. So what does this mean? In the universe, there are creatures in different forms and with different characteristics. One crawls on the ground, one swims in the sea, and one flies in the sky. One walks on the ground at high speed, and the other walks slowly for a short distance. Do these show that there is no justice in the world? Before answering this question, we need to discuss suffering. With a simple look, you can understand that these differences are not harmful in themselves. Rather, suffering appears when a person compares himself with others, just as normal people see themselves as usual and perfect as long as they don't think of great and sublime people. But if they compare themselves with sages, scientists, philosophers, and the great people of human history like prophets, they see themselves as full of faults and defects. Just as a blind person sees himself as incomplete compared to ordinary people are like blind people compared to great people in history. If all the people on earth lacked the power of sight or lacked legs and arms, then no one would think that having eyes and legs is a kind of perfection. Just as ordinary people do not feel suffering from not having the eyes of insight, dignity, miracles, the ability to prophesy and teleport, etc., but when they compare themselves with superior people, they wish that we had such abilities. But the opposite is also possible. If everyone lacked the power of movement and only a few were able to do such a thing, then they would be called exceptional. But because the majority are sighted and have the ability to move, as a result, those who lack these abilities are called disabled. But this comparison can be made on a wider scale. For example, by comparing animals with humans, we realize that animals lack some human perfections, and humans also lack some animal perfections. For example, birds do not have the power of advanced thinking, but on the other hand, humans do not have wings to fly. But neither a human being compared to a bird is called disabled nor a bird compared to a human being. Mullah Sadra, a famous Persian sage and philosopher, addressed this issue hundreds of years ago. He said in his sublime wisdom that every human being is unique in his own way. What makes disabled people think they are imperfect is comparing them with others. While every being is a perfect creation, no being is incomplete compared to the purpose for which it was created. A so-called physically disabled person may be considered deficient for working, becoming an athletics champion, and even climbing the stairs, but what about becoming a psychologist or a sage? What to become an astronomer? Didn't someone like Stephen Hawking draw a line against considering disabled people as incomplete? Is a seemingly disabled person who has the talent to get into university and become a computer engineer defective? While many so-called non-disabled people do not have enough talent to enter the university. If not having the physical ability to move is a disability, then not having the ability to learn science is also a disability. If the lack of talents such as movement, science learning talent, endurance talent, and other things is considered a disability, then the vast majority of people should be considered disabled. Here we present two types of perspectives on the world. In the first type, each and every creature of the world is seen as discrete and separate, and unrelated to each other. But in the second perspective, all the creatures of the world are seen continuously and in close connection with each other. At first perspective, the relation of beings to each other is like the relation of a handful of sand that is placed together, but there is no special existential connection between them. But in the second view, the creatures of the world are seen as organs and parts of a body, which are completely related to each other and form a coherent and orderly system. In such a view, the performance of each organism is effective in the existence and efficiency of each other organism. A physically disabled person actually has a significant and essential position in the world system. It is our wrong view to see such a beautiful creature as incomplete and suffering. Based on such a unified view, a poet from the East said, "The world is like an eye, a line, a mole, and an eyebrow. That everything is good in its place." And it is also said in another place according to this, "If you take a particle out of place, the world will collapse completely." In this video, we examine the issue of disability and its relationship with God's justice, and we understood that every being is imperfect compared to others. Still, compared to himself and his place in this world, he is complete and free of any defects and suffering.